Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Katie Asco from Dublin, Ireland, and these are your latest headlines from around the world. During his Wednesday general audience, Pope Francis cited the Old Testament story of the widow Naomi and her daughter-in-law Ruth to explain God's providential plan and how faith and love can overcome challenges. The pontiff told believers in the Paul VI hall that the bonds uniting generations can be enriching for families and the growth of society. He urged the youth to be grateful for what they have received and exhorted them to talk to their grandparents and elders to foster harmony and forge that beautiful bridge which needs to be guarded. Terming the book of Ruth a jewel in the Bible, the Pope said that the relationship of love and mutual support between Naomi and Ruth should inspire believers. Urging people to defend life from the time of conception, hundreds of pro-life supporters marched through the streets of downtown Richmond in the US state of Virginia on Wednesday, April 27th. Governor Youngkin and Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears took part in the march, which was held near the Capitol building. The rally began with an opening prayer by the Bishop of Richmond Diocese. Organizer of the march, Jean Mancini, president of the March for Life Education and Defence Fund, said, quote, "The theme of this year's marches is equality begins in the womb." She said the theme is critical as the US Supreme Court considers the most anticipated Dobbs v. Jackson case, which would overturn the Roe v. Wade ruling that legalized abortion. Currently, abortion in Virginia is legal until 25 weeks of pregnancy. Recently, the state Senate committee failed to pass a bill that would have prohibited abortions after 20 weeks of gestation. Ahead of the federal elections in Australia, which will take place on May 21st, the Catholic bishops of the country have urged believers and people of goodwill to reflect on the good they can do by wisely using their vote. Archbishop Mark Coleridge, who heads the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference, said in a statement that everyone longs for what Pope Francis terms a better kind of politics that is truly aimed at the service of the common good. The statement reads, quote, "This better politics pursues the common good of all Australians by recognising the dignity of every individual and the solidarity we all share as a national community." The prelates also sought the protection of vulnerable people and the elimination of poverty, as well as top-quality palliative care in all states to counter assisted suicide. The Holy Father has appointed Bishop Mark O'Toole of Plymouth as the new Archbishop of Cardiff and the Bishop of the Welsh Diocese of Menevia. He will be installed in Cardiff Cathedral on June 20th, the feast of Welsh martyrs Saints Julius and Aaron. He will become the 8th Archbishop of Cardiff, succeeding Archbishop George Stack. The bishop-elect has been serving as the Bishop of Plymouth since 2013 and says he was grateful and humbled by the trust that the Holy Father has placed in him with this new role. The Archdiocese of Cardiff and the Diocese of Menevia were merged in persona episcopi, although they retain their respective boundaries and structures. Ad multos annos to the new Archbishop-elect. Bishop Pablo Virgilio David, who heads the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, urged believers to focus on the fringes of society. He made this appeal during Sunday Mass at Cebu Metropolitan Cathedral, marking the end of the celebration of the 5th centenary of the arrival of the faith in the country. The bishop said that believers need not go very far to evangelize. Instead, they can do it in the peripheries of the church and in society. Quoting Catholic social teaching, Bishop David said that the only civilization that Christians should aim to build is one that raises the level of humanity by caring for the poor and the vulnerable. The year-long celebration was brought to a close with the virtual Second National Mission Congress, and the closing Mass was attended by 12 bishops, including Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Charles Brown. The nuncio too urged believers to share their faith in the places where they are. The Catholic bishops of the ecclesiastical province of Manila in the Philippines have also urged the faithful to pray the rosary daily for the upcoming May 9th national elections. In South Africa's flood-ravaged KwaZulu-Natal, religious leaders of the country took part in a walk of witness and joint prayer to offer solace to the affected people. More than 400 people have perished and 40,000 have been displaced in floods that ravaged the area on April 19th. On Tuesday, the National Religious Forum, comprising members of the KwaZulu-Natal Christian Council and South African Council of Churches, visited some of the areas and called for a national prayer initiative with the involvement of Parliament. The members of the forum also assessed the damage caused and chartered plans for coordinating relief activities. As part of the nationwide prayer moment for the flood victims and their families, South Africans were asked to observe a moment of prayer and contemplation. In his daily video address, Ukrainian Greek Catholic Major Archbishop Shevchuk decried the sexual violence inflicted on thousands of Ukrainians by Russian troops. The top prelate said that they are receiving news from occupied areas about how children are becoming victims of this crime against humanity. Major Archbishop Shevchuk said that the power of the risen Christ is yet to be fully revealed in this world through the lives of believers. He said, in spite of all the evil, Ukrainians boldly proclaim the risen Christ and work together for the victory of the nation. Citing the Sermon on the Mount, the Archbishop said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." He also said that blessed is he in whom the power of the risen Jesus rests. After a decades-old ban that prevented Egyptian Coptic Christians from visiting Israel was lifted, this Easter witnessed around 4,000 believers from the country visiting the Holy Land. It is for the first time in 2 years that the Holy City witnessed such a large influx of Egyptian Copts due to the pandemic curbs, and until only a few years ago, Egyptian Copts have been forbidden from visiting Israel by the late Coptic Orthodox Pope Shenouda III as a sign of protest against Israel's annexation of Jerusalem. Following the death of Pope Shenouda, his successor Tewardos II broke with custom in 2015 by visiting Israel to attend the funeral of a senior church official in Jerusalem. This paved the way for a large influx of Coptic pilgrims to the Holy Land, which has continued ever since. Those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow and visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.